Hey guys, this is Rachel with Cypress Textiles, and today we're going to be making the Singapore square from the 2020 VVCAL. So for this square is made with Shapegeist Katana, but for the sample I'm going to be using this little ball of Shapegeist River Washed, and it's a 10 gram cutie from the color pack. So I'm going to be using that for the demo square today, and we're going to start with a slip knot and then chain 3, and of course, just like always, you can do any center ring that you prefer. So I'm going to chain 3 and slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook to make my ring, and then straight into the center ring I'm going to make a beginning 2 TR cluster. And how that's going to work is, without chaining up, I'm going to go straight in for a single crochet and then chain 2 to make the treble stitch, and then I'm going to make a regular treble stitch, and both of those together are going to be my first 2 TR cluster of the round. So there I've got my first 2 TR cluster of the round. Now I'm going to chain 2, and the repeat here is going to be chain 2, 2 TR cluster until you have 12 2 TR clusters, including the beginning one, and then 12 chain spaces. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and chain 2, and I'm going to show you how I make the 2 TR cluster just in case. I'm going to yarn over twice, insert the hook into the center ring, pull up a loop, and draw the yarn through 2 loops on the hook twice. And then I should be left with 2 loops here. Just yarn over twice, repeat that whole thing again, pull up a loop, draw the yarn through 2 loops on the hook twice. And now you have 3 loops. Then when you draw the yarn through all 3 loops, your 2 TR cluster is finished. So again, just chain 2, 2 TR cluster until you have 12 2 TR clusters and 12 chains. Okay, so here's how my round looks like when it's complete. And I made a slip stitch into that first full TR stitch of the round. So you can see how it's joined there. And now what we're gonna do for our next round is just jump straight into this chain space. And we're going to make, in every chain space around, single crochet without chaining up, just go straight into a single, then treble. And whenever you make this treble, it's going to squat down between 2 singles. So you need to kind of make it to where you don't make it very loose. Just make a normal treble without having the 2 yarn overs super spread apart like this. You want them kind of close together. And just go straight into that space. Make your treble, and I'll show you how it's going to look here. So as you make your treble, just know it's going to be anchored down by this single that you first made. So it's going to kind of curve upward. You can see what I'm talking about. The treble is kind of bending over because the single crochet is anchoring it down. That's what you want. So now you're going to want to push that treble to the front and work around it on this side with another single. Okay, so now that treble becomes a little bobble on the front of your work. Okay, and then chain 1, and then just start over again. Single, treble, and single. Squashing that treble down to the front with your single crochet. So since that treble's trapped between 2 singles, it squashes down to the front, making a bobble. And make sure you don't forget that little chain 1 in between each. And just repeat that all the way around to the beginning. Okay, so you can see how the round turns out, and I have made a slip stitch in the first single of the round here. So you can see how the bobbles form on the front side of the work. All right, so for the next round, we're actually gonna start in the first chain space right here. So we're gonna need a slip stitch in the next 2 stitches to get us there. So we're just gonna make a traveling slip stitch here. So make sure that your slip stitch isn't too tight so it actually lays over the stitch and gets you to the chain space, like that. All right, so now I've made 2 slip stitches, and then straight into this chain space, I'm gonna make a single crochet without chaining up. And now my repeat is just gonna be very simple, chain 4, and then single crochet in the next chain 1 space. All right, all the way around. All right, so that simple round is finished. I made a slip stitch in the first single crochet, and now I'm going to work into this next chain space with some double crochet and chain spaces in between. So we're just going to go straight into that chain space with a single crochet and a chain 1, And that's going to be the first double crochet of the round. So I'm going to chain one again, but that's just a chain one space. And then I'm going to make double crochet, chain one, double crochet, chain one, and keep going until you have 7 double crochet, including the beginning one, and 6. Okay, so here's how the corner looks. You've got 7 double crochet, each of them with a chain one space in between. And now we're just going to make a chain one and then single crochet in the next chain space. And then we're going to chain 5 and single crochet in the next chain space. And now we're back to the beginning. Chain 1 and then make your 7 double crochet, each with chain 1 in between in the next corner. So just DC chain 1 till you have 7 DC in the corner. And then be sure to make a chain 1 after you're done so that you can get back into your repeat. And I'm going to step back and show you how it's going to start looking before I finish my round here. Chain 1 and single the next chain space. Okay, so here's how it's going to look so far. And I'm just going to work all the way around. Here's my little chain 5 space in between there. And I'm going to keep going all the way around until I'm back to the beginning. Okay, so my round is finished here. I've made my slip stitch in the chain 1 of that beginning DC. And now I'm going to start with the next round. So I'm going to work in the chain 1 spaces here. And I'm going to start with a 2DC cluster. It's just that it's the first one of the round. So we're going to make it a little bit differently. We're going to make a beginning 2DC cluster. So go straight into your chain space with a single crochet and then chain 1, and that's the DC part. Then you're going to make a full double crochet, and those two together are the beginning 2DC cluster. So now you're just going to chain 1 and make a regular 2DC cluster in the next chain space. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and draw the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and then repeat that. And now you have 3 loops on your hook here, and just draw the yarn through all 3 loops, and that's your 2DC cluster. So chain 1 and repeat 2DC cluster in the next chain space. And then once you get to this next part here, you're at the corner. So you're going to go ahead and chain 3. So there we go. And then we're going to use these next 3 chain spaces to make 2DC clusters in. So make 2DC cluster and chain 1. 2DC cluster and chain 1. And then actually you're going to go ahead and use this chain space for a 2DC cluster as well. So 2DC cluster and chain 1. All right, so now we're up to our chain 5 space. So we're just going to make a single crochet in that chain 5 space and then chain 1. And now your first 2DC cluster here is going to be in this chain space right here. So 2DC cluster, chain 1, until you have 4 2DC clusters, each with a chain 1 space in between. And once you get to that 4th 2DC cluster, that's when you chain 3 for your corner. All right, and then you use your next 4 chain 1 spaces to put a 2DC cluster, chain 1 in them. And we're into a repeat here, so I'm going to show you the side to let you see how it looks after I'm kind of done with the corner here. Chain 1. And once I get to another 4 2DC clusters, I'm just going to chain 1, single crochet in the chain 5 space, chain 1, and then I'm going to show you how our side is looking. So here's how we look here. You can see that you're going to have 8 2DC clusters on each corner, and we don't have the 8th one here yet because that's the last stitch we're going to make when we go around. So you can see this is the complete corner. It has 8 2DC clusters, each with chain 1 space in between, except for this very corner one has chain 3 space in between. All right, and then just chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. and just work that way all the way around to the beginning. Okay, my round is complete, and you can see that I've added in this 2DC cluster here to finish off the 8 that are supposed to be in the corner. And I made a slip stitch into this beginning 2DC cluster. And now we're ready for the final round. So all we're gonna do is pretty simple. We're just gonna take all these chain 1 spaces and put 2 double crochet in them. So just work straight into the space and make 2 double crochet. And then by the time you've done 2 of them, you're already at the corner where you're gonna do 5 single crochet in the corner. 3, 4, and 5. And so across this, we're just gonna make 2 single crochets. If I said 2DC, it's single crochet. 2 single crochets in each chain space all the way across. And then also you're gonna make a single crochet right here in this center single. All right, so 2 singles in every chain 1 space across, as well as 1 single in this center single crochet. That's just to keep our stitch count correct for the VVCAL. So just go all the way across, 2 single crochet in each chain space. And here's our single. So we're gonna make a single crochet in. All right, so I'm just gonna work this way all the way around, and I'll back up and kind of show you how it's looking so far. The last round is always the easiest since it's just single crochet. All right, here we go. Don't forget to put 5 singles in your corner. Okay, so my square is finished now. This is the Singapore square from the 2020 VVCAL, and I have the katana one here and the river washed one, and you can see the river washed one is a little bit bigger. But all of these squares are on my website, cypresstextiles.net, and I'll also in my 2020 VVCAL playlist on my YouTube channel. So I will see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.